Hello, everyone. I'm Christine Earthart.
And I'm Brett Earthart.
We are the founders of the Center for Thriving Relationships, and we are so incredibly excited and grateful and honored to have you here to share with you the 3 keys to being a successful relationship coach and improving your own love life. Welcome. You are in the right place here if you want to
feel empowered, confident, and equipped to help people transform their relationships. And I can assure you there's nothing more satisfying in the world.
Truly. And if you are longing to feel this deeper sense of fulfillment and purpose in your life, you are definitely in the right place.
To improve your own relationship.
And to create this amazing and abundant lifestyle that you love. So some of you are here probably because you want to improve your own relationship primarily, and others of you, that is always a part of it. And you're really wanting to know how to effectively support other people in your life, whether you are currently a practitioner and you're wanting to add on this ability to specifically support people with couples, with kind of their relationships, because it is unlike supporting people with individuals. It's really a unique skill set. Or maybe you're doing something entirely different and life is full, but not necessarily fulfilling. And you're kind of curious about this possibility of embarking on a whole new career path. So wherever you are, we welcome you with all our hearts. We really treasure getting to have these moments just to come together and really grow in love for the greater good of all. So what you're going to learn during our time together
is the number one mistake of couples who end up getting divorced.
Yes. What most well-intentioned coaches and therapists do that ends up causing couples more harm than good.
And why what most couples are doing isn't working.
And the fastest and easiest way to transform a relationship.
How to reveal what's happening underneath the challenges that any couple faces.
The 6 essential pillars to creating a thriving relationship.
And the opportunity to join the next round of our Thriving Relationship Coach Certification Program.
Yes, yes, yes. And here is us. So we would love to hear about each one of you and the things that are important to you, and want to just introduce ourselves to you. So here's a picture of us with our son, Mayan, in our onesies, and we have a picture of our 3 rescue pups who we also love dearly. We've got Wonder Boy, Love Bug, and Snuggabella. And then there we are on an adventure. And we have been together for over 20 years now. And we're truly now in the marriage of our absolute dreams, which is such a gift. And our lives are really centered around relationships and connection. Brett is a licensed psychotherapist. I am a long time for well over 15 years doing as a coach and doing healing and transformational work with people. And we both really are in awe of the capacity for healing and for growth and for really coming back into that flow of connection that we pretty much all long to experience in relationships. So now things are wonderful, and it has not always been that way.
So we definitely had our challenges, and we figured out we were doing some things wrong. And so one of the things we were doing wrong was getting stuck in the same issue over and over again, and wasted just so much time in repetitive conversations and cycles. And I'm sure you can relate to this, where if you've been in a long-term romantic relationship, there have been those conversations where you can just press the repeat button. And it's like, oh, we've done this 100 times. And I know how this is going to go. And oh gosh, we could just find our way out of it.
Yes. And feel free. We would love to hear from you. So put in the chat if you're like, oh, yes, I can relate to that. If you've been in a relationship before, you can probably relate to that experience. So we were there as well. And we unknowingly did the opposite of what actually works. So this is really common in relationships. And we are so fortunate to get to connect with people who are incredibly kind, caring, well-intentioned, successful in other life domains. And relationships are uniquely humbling because we don't tend to know how to really effectively love another person. Seems like it would be so simple, but actually when someone is so close to us, all of our all of our wounds, any part of us that needs healing, any part of us that's unconscious, our fears, everything comes to the surface and we react. And the way we react is usually the opposite, the most ineffective thing. And then when that doesn't work, we do that even more, thinking it's going to work, and it works even less. So we've been there. We definitely had our times where we did the opposite of what was helpful for one another.
Yeah, we want to think that our instincts guide us in the right direction, but sometimes they don't. Sometimes our instincts actually guide us in the opposite direction than what we really should be doing. So we'll help you understand that more.
Absolutely. And we also thought our differences were incompatible. And so this is really common in relationships, that we tend to be drawn to someone who is a bit different from us, because that creates balance in our lives. And then when we progress in a relationship and we get into what's oftentimes called a power struggle, we begin to perceive our differences as a source of conflict. And so we did not have the tools and techniques at the time to know how to manage those in a way that our differences actually worked for us and became strengths, and they harmonized. And so if you are there, or if you know couples, if you've ever had the thought like, gosh, I don't know, we might just be too different, too incompatible. We want to assure you we were there as well. Now people meet us and they're like, you seem like you're so much alike or so in sync. And we actually are quite different in a lot of ways. And it's really just because through intention and through the tools that we're going to be giving you a glimpse into, we found ways to just work wholeheartedly as a team.
And we realized that when we were experiencing these challenges, we were like too often just trying to figure it out on our own. And we didn't need to do that. Like, there's this whole body of information out there that is so helpful. And like we were just like trying to figure out, it's like what works and what doesn't work just in our little bubble. And that is a very inefficient way to do it. So that led us to almost ending things. And yeah, we figured out there's a much better way to do it.
Yeah. So here are some of the pictures from our early days. So yes, we had a night on the couch that we'll truly never forget. It was one of those turning points in our lives. You probably had those as well. And so we really, we were a few years in, and even though we had this very magical start to our love of giving each other our best, seeing each other's best, all of a sudden we own a home together. We're co-parenting our young son and realizing we have differences in how we want to parent. We have different perspectives on how to manage finances. We have different preferences as far as how clean we like the house. So many different things. And so we realized, like, gosh, even though we have lots of wonderful moments, it's also not bringing out our best. And we're really getting stuck in these repetitive challenges. And so we realized that we had three options. One option was just to wish each other the best on our individual journeys. And we came really, really close to that. The other option was just to keep hoping that things would get better on their own. So keep figuring it out on our own. And we realized, like, gosh, 5 years from now, we're probably going to end up in the same conversation again and still not know the way out. Or our third option was, we both have done lots of personal growth, and we realized, like, wow, there's like so much potential that we all have, but we hadn't really learned a whole lot about relationships. We thought maybe the same is true for our love. Like, let's really dive in and see what is possible here. And so fortunately, that night we chose that third path. We ordered this gigantic stack of books. And at the time it was DVD courses and CD courses. And we devoted every Friday night. We called it Conscious Date Night. And we were just committed to learning something new and really growing in our relationship. And our relationship utterly transformed. It was like suddenly the lights had come on and we could see ourselves and each other so much more clearly. We could finally communicate about things that were really important to us and feel heard and validated and acknowledged. We became this amazing team that was able to come up with win-win solutions, that both of our needs got met. We both felt fulfilled, so many things. And it was really extraordinary. And we never imagined that we actually would be doing this with other couples. It was just our own transformation. And after we learned what we did, we were learning all these theories and all this science and research. And then we already had a private practice where we were seeing individuals, and we first applied things in the living laboratory of our own relationship, kind of turning it into like tools and techniques. And then we developed this entire methodology. We started using it with couples, and we're like, this works again and again and again and again.
so we knew we had to share this information. We had gotten so much feedback from other couples that we knew, and they said, "Oh, like we want what you guys have. Like you're doing something right." And we realized that, yeah, we're not just lucky. We didn't just kind of luck into this being a great match. Like we actually worked for it, and we developed kind of our own system, to create those results. And then we just knew that we could turn that system into one that worked for other people, that facilitated connection and healing for other couples, and kind of facilitated them creating their own version of a thriving relationship. And so when we started to apply this with clients, it's like it worked awesome. It worked so well, and our practice did so well just from word of mouth that we filled it up, and then we had a waiting list, and we realized like, oh, like we need more people doing this. So that's when we started the Thriving Relationship Coaching coach certification program, so that we could create other practitioners that have these kind of same concepts under the belt and same tools and can facilitate with couples this work.
Yeah, really both of our background before we were doing this, we were both in the nonprofit world. We just would wake up every morning like, oh, okay, how can we maximize this precious gift of life to best love and serve the world? And it really is in relationships. So most people, if you ask them like what's most important to them, they would say their relationships, like their romantic partner, their relationship with their kids, with other people in their lives. And yet it's really the area of life. We just started looking around, like once like we suddenly had the flashlight, we would look around and we would see so much unnecessary suffering, so much pain, so much struggle, so much despair. Again, wonderful people who just hadn't learned how to have a great relationship, didn't have many role models. And so there was like so much unnecessary suffering and so much capacity for ease, for flow, for fun, for joy, for connection together. And so we're like, well, this is where I think we can make the biggest difference on the planet, is helping people in this one area of their lives, because we all tend to get into relationships because we want life to be easier on some level and more enjoyable. And it's just so unfortunate that it ends up being the opposite, not in every moment, but in a lot of moments for people when it doesn't need to be. And there's a much greater need for relationship wisdom in the world than there's even close to it being out there. So we're so grateful you're here to help spread some of this.
So we started that coaching certification program, and it's become one of the premier relationship training programs in the world, and we're very proud of it. And thanks for being here and letting us tell you about it.
Yeah, and we're just so touched and so inspired by the students that are really spread all over the globe from so many different backgrounds. And the one thing I think that connects everyone together is just these big-hearted people who want to bring more love and connection into the world. So I'm so happy to have you here. So
I think we've had students from every continent other than Antarctica.
Yeah.
So, we need.
If you're from Antarctica.
So what do couples need support with? We know the need is big out there, and so there are many different reasons why couples come in to do work with the center. And I'd say one of the biggest reasons is that they love each other, but they're just tired and exhausted from the conflict that they're experiencing together. There's just a profound depth of love for each other, but it's just there's some things not in place, right? They're doing some of those like the opposite of what they need to be doing, and they're just exhausted from the conflict.
Yeah. So this is, again, kind of the couples that are looking for support out there, just so you have a sense. If you're not currently working with couples and you're like, well, what do people really need help around their relationship? So some couples, they're just surviving. They're just kind of going through the motions. Maybe they feel more like housemates or colleagues or co-parents or co-workers. They don't feel like these best friends, these lovers on this adventure of life together. And they just like have this sense that there's more. I don't just want to be going through the motions. They tend to want to get some support and a coach that will help take them to the next level.
Yep. And they want better communication. And as the coach, when we hear that, usually means a deeper connection. But we also are going to train them to communicate better too.
Yes, absolutely. On the intake form, that's the number one reason we ask people, why are you seeking our services? Communication is huge. And the beautiful thing is, once people learn how to communicate, oh my goodness, issues just become resolved so much more readily. Some couples reach out because they want to reignite this spark and feel more connected. So maybe they just feel like they've grown apart over the years and they want to feel that resurgence of love that they felt early on.
Yeah, and we have people coming in that want to heal from an affair, from betrayal, and they need to rebuild trust.
Yeah, absolutely. Some couples who are wondering if they should stay together, like, is it really in their highest good? Are they compatible or not? So that is an absolutely valid reason to reach out for support.
Yep, we have couples coming in for premarital work where they just want to build a foundation from the very beginning and get a great start on their marriage. So it's always such a joy when those people come in. Yeah.
Absolutely. Some people who have just lost touch with one another during parenting, that's really common, or maybe the loss of a loved one, a new job, a move, or some sort of difficult stage of life, and they want to really reconnect and rebuild their relationship and have a fresh start.
And one of those kind of stage of life changes could be becoming an empty nester. And it's like, okay, well, one of the big purposes of our marriage has been to raise kids, and now they're gone. And now what is our marriage all about? Who are we to each other? And, it's like a whole new chapter of life that it can be. I must say, it's really endearing when we kind of help people figure out that new vision for their marriage.
Absolutely. Maybe they're doing well, but they want to have the best relationship possible. So that's fabulous. People will sign up for workshops and retreats and coaching when that's the case.
And we get some individuals who want to come in to make personal changes in their life to improve their non-romantic relationships, but also to set themselves up for successful romantic relationships in the future.
Yeah. And some individuals, if their partner isn't willing, they come in because they realize when they start to apply these tools, their relationship transforms as well, which is really incredible. So basically, couples in every and any stage of the journey, the methodology that we've developed works for really everything and anything that has to do with love and relating and intimacy. So in case it gives you a little bit of insight, if you're wondering like, okay, maybe I want to start supporting couples again, maybe you already have, you're a practitioner of some kind and you want to start supporting people more with relationships, just to identify some of the things that people are longing for support around. All right, so let's dive into those 3 keys to being a successful relationship coach and improving your own love life. So these will be relevant. So if some of you are inspired and you feel the calling in your heart, of course, to go through our program to become a certified relationship coach, we would be honored and thrilled to support you in fulfilling that calling in any way that we can. Or if you're just wanting a few tools and techniques and perspectives that are going to help you support any couples in your life that are important to you, or just apply to your own relationship, we deeply hope that these are of service to you no matter what. All right, so key number 1.
Reframe the challenges and give them hope.
So important.
Yeah. So we find that, when couples first come in, quite often, like they've just been experiencing a tremendous amount of conflict, or maybe not even a tremendous amount, but just like enough conflict where long term it has exhausted them. And we have the saying that conflict is growth waiting to happen. And what we want to do is kind of reframe this conflict that's been happening, and to say it's like, oh, well, first of all, that conflict's happening because you both care so much, right? And so because one of the biggest indicators of relationship ending is the conflict goes away because we're avoiding it, not because we've resolved it. And so the conflict is actually a sign of like your high commitment and a true kind of love for each other, right? It's like we care, so that conflict's there. And so we want to kind of reframe the conflict to this is just something that is telling you that you got to do things differently. Like there's bad habits here. There's kind of, you're doing probably the opposite of what you should be doing in some ways. And we need to kind of, figure out what those things are and totally, kind of switch, to those best practices.
Yeah. So rather than seeing conflict as a dead end, that's really common. When we get to a difficult moment in our relationship, it's like, we must not be meant to be. This isn't how the movies is. And so as coaches, we have this incredible opportunity. And what we found is that going over the 5 stages of a thriving relationship really helps to frame them. So this is what we want to pass along to you in supporting couples. So we're going to go over the 5 stages with you. And again, this is like a reframing of their challenges. So we're going to start with the romance stage. So the romance stage is, well known. Not every couple starts with all of these sparks and all of this passion. So if you did not start like that in your relationship, it does not mean you're abnormal or you're doomed. And it's really common when we first meet someone for us to at least see more of their best, to give them more of our best, to feel a sense of hopefulness. It's really common when couples come into our office in the early stages, maybe they're wanting to be preventative, and they'll say to us oh, this relationship is just so easy. We communicate so well. We just get along. We just like all the same things. And we love this and celebrate this. So we are very optimistic people. We are not cynical people. And yet, as they're saying this, as we're celebrating them, we're also kind of thinking okay, this is fabulous. And it's probably only a matter of time before they get into a difficult moment. So it's not a matter of if a relationship will get to a difficult moment. It's really a matter of when. So pretty much every couple, well, definitely every couple we have ever met, ever interacted with, as long as they stay together long enough, they then enter into a power struggle. So this is stage number 2. And this is where we get to really normalize conflict. Again, it is inevitable. It is really growth wanting to happen. It's not a bad thing. As I mentioned before, in relationships, everything comes to the surface. There's no place for anything to hide. So it tends to be in our earliest relationships, we experience the greatest wounding in life. And so suddenly when we're with another partner, all of those wounds come up, all of the things that have been modeled for us, even our unhealthy patterns that have been modeled for us, we tend to default to them at times, and especially in a moment where we're triggered. And so all of our fears come up, just any sort of unconscious patterns, there's no place for them to hide. And we suddenly are connecting to another person that has great impact on the things they say, the things they do, the things they don't say and they don't do have great impact on whether or not our own needs get met. So someone that greatly impacts us, and yet we ultimately don't really have control over. So it brings up all of our stuff. And this is beautiful. Either that can mean it's a source of so much suffering, so much pain, or it's the source of so much healing, so much growth, so much awakening, lots of personal development. And so again, this power struggle is absolutely normal. This is when we call them relationship poisons come out. So things like blame, criticism, stonewalling, shutting down, taking things personally, getting defensive, being stubborn, not prioritizing the relationship anymore. All these things that tend to actually bring out our worst. We tend to keep score of who does more. Maybe we start to withhold things. You're not giving me what I need, so I'm not going to give you what I need. Communication oftentimes starts to break down. And it's easy to think you're not who you said you were. You're not who I fell in love with. And our partner tends to think the same. So again, this power struggle is inevitable. And this is the moment that a lot of couples are like, this is way too much work. I'm out of here. This must not be meant to be. We must be too incompatible. And this is the key for you as someone who supports couples, is that we want to help them see the power struggle is actually not a dead end at all. And just the other side of a power struggle is the commitment stage. You want to tell them what that is?
Yes. So the commitment stage is where we handle the power struggle issues entirely different, right? And so in the power struggle, it's we're doing the opposite of what we should be doing. In the commitment stage, we start off by always kind of being focused on ourselves, taking personal responsibility for what I'm doing that contributes to these situations that I don't want in my relationship. And so I'm really, we're getting out of the blame game, right? In the power struggle, we're doing the blame game. It's if you stop doing that thing, then we'd be good. And we're both doing that, right? So in the commitment stage, it's we stop doing that. I'm oh, hey, I'm actually not, being a good listener when you really need me to. Hey, I'm actually not being as affectionate as our relationship needs me to be. And right, I'm looking at myself, I'm identifying those things that our relationship needs from me that I'm actually not doing or not doing like well enough. And then I'm taking responsibility for those things. And it's and part of that. So right, I'm developing myself as a more conscious, mature person, realizing it's like, oh, I can just control myself, right? When we try to control each other, we know that doesn't work very well. That just breeds resentment. That is the power struggle. And so we're just taking ourselves out of that entirely, identifying those things that we need to do differently, and then comes that growth stage. But you want to.
Oh, yeah. So in the commitment stage, it really is, even if you don't know the way yet, it's just making this powerful commitment that I want to dive in and learn what it takes to have a thriving relationship, a commitment. Like I want to do my part in getting us to thriving and really tapping into the love that's here. So when you're seeing a couple, the fact that they're reaching out to you, this is a moment that we love to celebrate them, like just them coming to a session or reaching out for support. That is an indicator that they're ready to commit, that they're ready to like move out of the power struggle and step into this world of possibilities for them. So that's really what that is. So again, to make a commitment, which we encourage you to make right now. I mean, that's what we made that night on the couch. We didn't know anything about relationships, but we made that commitment. We're like, all right, I'm in. Are you in? Like, let's dive in and learn what it actually takes to have a thriving relationship, with that spirit of personal responsibility, rather than just looking at like, what do I need from my partner? It's like, okay, I'm a part of this. I'm committing to growth. Like, what does this relationship need from me in order to improve?
And then in the growth stage, we're actually taking those steps to become that better version of ourselves that then, can, come into this relationship as that on that higher plane, as that better version of myself. And, if we maintain that commitment mindset and we do enough growth, then inevitably we spend a lot of our time in thriving, but there's like no kind of free pass to get to thriving. We actually have to earn it by having that commitment mindset majority of the time, and doing the growth, which is really, the work.
Yeah. And that growth is really learning how to communicate, how to heal from conflict, how to navigate our differences, how to actually create secure attachment.
Yeah, how to forgive, right? How to be more patient, how to be a better listener, how to be more attentive. It's a moving target, right? It'll always change. So like over a lifetime together, like one year it's going to be just to be a better listener, and 10 years after that it might be to be a better financial investor. So it's going to just constantly change.
Mm-hmm. And what's so beautiful that I love about relationships, that I love about this partnership and about all the couples I serve, is that our relationship is such a mirror. And so the very thing that our relationship needs in order to be stronger, deeper, more connected is almost always the very thing that we need individually in order to evolve and grow as a human. And so we like to call relationships human growing machines, because they're continually reflecting back to us these opportunities for growth. And so, yes, we get to be like lifelong students here at Earth School. So the growth, that's where a coach comes in. It's that moment. So people that falling in love, that romance stage, that's fairly easy. Sometimes people want support kind of in the dating scene, but usually that happens fairly easily. Getting into a power struggle, we usually can figure that out on our own. And that's when people get lost. And so what people usually need is a coach that's going to help them realize that there is hope beyond the power struggle. If they are committed, usually when people come in, they're like, okay, here are all of our challenges. Is there any hope for us? And it's not a matter of the magnitude of the challenges. It's really a matter of how willing are they to grow and how committed are they to the process. And if people, even if they've experienced these incredible challenges, if they have a commitment to growth, really there are unlimited possibilities. And so then as a coach, we get to step in and we get to share with them and teach them the methodology, the tools, the roadmap, the science, the research behind what makes a thriving relationship. So that's growth. And then we get to thriving. So thriving is really the best part of the romance stage. So we again have this hopefulness, this aliveness, We are seeing each other's best. We're giving each other our best. We're prioritizing our love. But it isn't just the sparkly parts on the outside. There is this deep love of the whole person. There's this radical sense of trust and safety and someone really having our back through all of life. And we have this compelling and inspiring vision that's really calling us upward and forward. And when we get to thriving, it isn't like we just get to permanently stay there, which I think is good news because we get to always be growing. The aim is really to spend as many moments as possible in thriving, but there's going to be a moment when you're tired or stressed, life is full, you get triggered, and we're going to end back up into a power struggle. And the aim is to spend, maybe what used to be hours or days or weeks or years even in power struggle is like 10 minutes. And then it's like, oh, okay, I recommit. Let me see how I need to grow here. And then we're going to get back on thriving. So you want to spend as many moments as possible in thriving and know the pathway there. And that's what we really empower clients to do. So they aren't just lost. I think this is what really we found sets apart what we're so honored to share with clients and with students now for them to share with clients is that it's very, very concrete. Sometimes, people will go to a couples therapist, a well-intended couples therapist. I don't want to make them wrong in any way. They probably just haven't studied relationships, but a couple will come in, they'll sort of argue in front of the therapist. Therapist maybe is like playing a little bit of referee, and they walk out of there feeling even worse. And they're like, oh my gosh, now our relationship is even worse than I thought it was. And they don't really know how to navigate their way through it. There isn't like a language they know. And what we love is in that growth stage is like, these are concrete tools that you can replicate over and over for the rest of your life and apply to every relationship, not just your romantic one.
Yes.
Woo, woo. Okay, awesome. So that is our first key for you is to empower people, give them hope, reframe conflict. It's just this opportunity for growth, not a dead end. So important. This is in the first session when we're working with couples, we love them walking out of there with a sense of hope of what's available and possible. They might just not otherwise know. They might think, I don't want to stay in this relationship if it's no good. So there you have it. Okay, key number 2.
Rather than just addressing the surface, learn how to wonder and look under. So this is so important because we've been talking a lot about conflict, and conflict is so often not about what it's about. Right? It's like what we're arguing about, what we think we're having conflict about has nothing to do with why we're really experiencing the conflict. We need to help people go deeper, to develop a habit of going deeper to see what's really going on underneath the surface.
Yeah, absolutely. What oftentimes happens is that we react to our partner's reactions. They get triggered and then we get triggered that they're triggered and we really miss out. So for example, we may see that our partner starts to withdraw. And so when they withdraw, we get agitated and we criticize them. And when that doesn't work, we criticize them even more and they withdraw even more. And so we are reacting again to their reaction when underneath it, perhaps our partner who is withdrawing is actually longing to feel like we really like them. They're longing for more appreciation, more affection, the opposite of what we tend to do when we react. And the person who's being critical is probably just terrified. They feel alone. They're longing for their partner to engage them. So that's a really common dynamic where we react to what's on the surface when if we begin to wonder and look under. So that's a saying that we kind of came up with that we love is just a way to see all of humanity. I wonder what's underneath the surface, because it can be very different than what we see on the surface. So here are some of the things that you might find are familiar from your own relationships or from any couples that you might support.
Yeah, so these are some of those poisons that we see on the surface of conflict quite often: blame, criticism, punishing, staying in victim role, contempt, name calling, looking down on your partner. There's a whole long list there. And
teasing, controlling, dominating, manipulating, physical or verbal aggression. And I bet you as we're reading through these, just to kind of take a pulse, sometimes it's so helpful to identify what's not working, not as a way to blame or judge or feel badly about yourself, but really as a language of validation. Perhaps if you're experiencing these things, they don't feel good to be on the receiving end, but also for you to actually acknowledge what isn't working, because any place you discover something that isn't working, it means then there's a huge opportunity for something that could work much more effectively, because all of these things, they're just strategies to get needs met. The needs themselves are so beautiful, so valid. we just tend to revert to some strategies that are never going to get us what we really want in life. So pressuring your partner to do something they don't want.
Yeah, silent treatment, stonewalling, defensiveness, thinking you know it all, having to be right, secrets and dishonesty, taking things personally, neglecting the relationship, lack of physical affection, yeah, keeping score of who does more, neglecting self-care, and many more.
Yeah, so this would be a good one to perhaps screenshot and do a little check-in with yourself. Like there are many more than this, but these are some of people's kind of favorite go-tos, and we've all been there. We've all been there. And so certainly when you're working with couples, we want to help them identify what they're doing that isn't working. And what is so helpful is this kind of get underneath the surface. Usually those emotionally charged conversations, they are such because something is so important. But then it doesn't go well. We start to use some of those relationship poisons. And then before we know it, we're talking about the conversation. Like, you're not even listening to me. Well, I can't when you talk to me like that, your tone, whatever it might be. We don't actually get to the heart of the issue. So when we wonder and look under, we get to discover what the greater preciousness and vulnerability about what's really there.
Yeah, it's so wonderful when you're working with a client and they'll be saying, oh, it's like, we're arguing about this thing. And it's like, oh, hey, let's try this wonder and look under concept. And it's like, oh, well, if, just take your best guess as to what your most important unmet need was in that moment underneath what was going on. And, when people can start to do that, they so quickly become vulnerable. And to be an effective couples coach, right, you got to get people into a vulnerable space. But that wonder and look under this is like the shortcut to get them there. And now we're really talking about what's going on, right, when we start talking about those deeper needs.
Yeah, so these are some of the questions. So to begin with, I find that it's so valuable, even if we don't know what's underneath it. So maybe you're checking out at the grocery store, and someone is just a little snappy or they aren't most really pleasant. So just notice that this is a common way. Do you react to that, right? Are you like, oh, they're in a bad mood? Or do we wonder and look under and just think like, I wonder what's underneath what they're saying or doing right now? And so one of my favorite things, and I'm probably most proud about with our program, is that people say that they become just more compassionate, loving people through it, which leads to them being so much happier, just feeling so much freer and lighter and so much more connected to people everywhere they go. And for you as people who are perhaps interested in supporting couples more effectively, some of the things to be looking for when you wonder and look under, like here's what we see, and then underneath it, like, I wonder what their unmet needs are. I wonder what their deeper fears are right now. They're probably just scared and it's coming out in this way. They're having a fight response, or they're having a freeze or flee response. What are their more vulnerable feelings? Perhaps they're showing anger, but they're actually devastated. They're actually so ashamed right now. And what are the unlived dreams? So whenever we're really upset in a relationship, it's usually because there's something so important to us that we're not experiencing. And again, if we just focus on the surface, we're just focusing on what we don't want, rather than getting to unearth and uncover these things that are so incredibly important to us. We can be looking for, like, is there secure attachment right now? So secure attachment is paramount. And certainly we teach our coaches how to help couples create a securely attached relationship, because we are all fundamentally biologically hardwired for connection. And in those moments when we feel like our connection is not there, our nervous system has a response, and we tend to go into fight, flee, or freeze mode.
Yeah, and sometimes what's underneath is kind of some childhood wounds, and either childhood wounds or very kind of relationship traumas from prior experiences. So it could be from childhood or from other adult experiences. That creates raw spots in us, where it's like, oh, when those get touched, then it's like all of a sudden I'm dysregulated, or I'm really scared or angry or defensive. So this is where, like, we want to get to that what's underneath. So we're really kind of dealing with the real stuff.
Absolutely. And it could also be raw spots from the current relationship. So, when we're supporting a couple and perhaps it feels like someone's response is disproportionate to what's really happening. Again, rather than judging the client or supporting the client and telling their partner that they're overreacting, we want to wonder and look under, like, they are having such a big response. There must be a raw spot. Is there something before in this relationship that occurred that they never experienced resolution or healing around? So, we want to always be wondering and look under. And also, what are their strengths and good intentions? So rather than just looking at how someone is acting on the surface, it's like, so maybe somebody, somebody's partner came home late from work and they sort of attacked them at the door. And rather than just seeing them for like this person who attacks and is just so unkind, you want to look underneath the surface at their strength and like, their strength is that they actually were really anticipating them coming home and they prepared this meal, and their good intention is that they value so much spending quality time together and they treasure that and love that. And so the strategy they use, not the most effective. And as coaches, we are going to help them find different strategies for getting their needs met, because probably their partner is not going to be too enthusiastic about coming home in the future. And we don't want to overlook all these things that are going on underneath the surface. So
when we get to those needs underneath the surface, then it's usually so easy to see their good intentions, and to have compassion, right, for kind of the, whatever the behaviors are, whatever, is on the surface too.
Yeah, absolutely. So we hope that, again, this could be a good slide to sort of screenshot, because as you're thinking about anybody in your life, and it is so much more painful, when we're just focusing on the surface and kind of judging that or fixating on that, versus when we can open our hearts and just get curious. And we don't even have to have the answers, just to get curious, like, they're probably acting out of unmet needs. There's probably some part of them that's scared right now. There's probably a more vulnerable part of them than I'm seeing. There's probably something really important to them they're not experiencing right now. They might not be feeling very securely attached. Their nervous system might be a bit dysregulated. What state is it in right now? Is there a raw spot that's coming up right now, something unresolved from the past? And what are actually their strengths and good intentions? So we hope that helps you as coaches and just as fellow humans on this journey together. So, all right, key number 3 is that we don't just want to focus on what is wrong. We want to help couples grow what is strong, and we want to empower them with the roadmap. So this is the number one thing that we hear. We've had many countless couples over the years reach out to our office to actually repair, unfortunately, from the damage done in some traditional couples counseling or going to a coach elsewhere. And again, we don't want to make that wrong at all. It's just people who well-intended, but never really learned about relationships. So, Brett is a licensed clinical psychotherapist, and in his schooling, he only had a couple classes about relationships because there's just so much to cover. And so someone that has had very, very little training about relationships, a couple will come to see them and they'll just process all the things that aren't working, and the counselor or coach will just fixate on what isn't working, and that will become really magnified. So we absolutely want to address what isn't working. Absolutely. We also want to grow what is strong and teach people the skill set for how to grow and deepen and strengthen their love and understand each other and appreciate each other and effectively love each other in the way that means the most.
When we are just focused on the problem all the time, then it's almost like that expands. Whatever we focus on expands. And so we're in the sessions with couples, to focus on some of that hard stuff, to really talk about the difficult subjects, to have the hard conversations, and to make sure that we're doing it in an environment where, with you as the coach, you can make sure that there's an effective conversation going on, It's like we're not just having a repetitive conversation, we're actually making sure that we're getting results, that we're having a difficult conversation, but things are getting better. But we also want to make sure we have balance with that. It's like we're always just, showering the clients with, whenever we see like them do something right, it's like, oh my gosh, we pause and we take the time to celebrate what they're doing right. And because we want them to feel good about themselves and each other, and to see all the things that they are doing right. Because even in couples that have, severe conflict, they're still doing so many things right. And that's kind of your foundation on which to build on. So, but they have to be aware that, there are all those good things that are happening. And, in order to like even know there's a foundation to build on.
Yeah, one of the top reasons that people stop doing the thoughtful, kind, romantic gestures in their relationship is because they begin to think that it doesn't really matter, And so just like in a relationship, we want to keep reinforcing the good in order for the good to continue. As practitioners, we want to do that as well. So certainly celebrating them, setting them up for success. And again, we don't want to just, in positive psychology, which is a field that I've extensively studied. It's one of my other passions, is the science of optimal human functioning. And Martin Seligman is the founder of positive psychology. And he kind of came along in psychology because what he found is that we were just trying to remove the weeds. Like, how do we remove anxiety, remove depression, remove addictions? And he's like, that's great, but it's kind of half-baked. We want to also be adding the flowers. And so that's really what we're doing as thriving relationship coaches. We're not only really looking at what isn't working, we're looking underneath the surface of what's really there to get to the root and the core of it and heal it from that place in a way that is so full of compassion and grace and relief and togetherness. We're also planting a lot of flowers. And I think, that's really an important key for us, is that we're doing that for people. We want them to experience their greatest relationship, and people don't know. Like, we don't even know what's available because most people don't have any role models. So it's not like, usually what couples say is like, well, at least it's not as bad as that couple over there. And so we kind of set the bar pretty low. And yet deep down, so many couples have this idea of what it would mean to experiencing a fulfilling relationship, but they sort of given up on it because they just don't even know the roadmap. And oh my goodness, we have developed now over 50 tools that are all about helping people experience a thriving relationship. And that's what we love to empower people with. So as we've mentioned, it's a unique skill set that very few people have. And it's so important that people have a relationship specialist that's really supporting them, because statistically, marriage counseling actually does more harm than good, because people, again, they don't have the roadmap. However, relationship coaching for people that are trained, it is extraordinary. We are just so utterly ecstatic to hear about our coaches. It'll be the very first session. So as part of the program, they're doing practice sessions. It'll be their first session. And they're like, oh my gosh, this works. I can't believe it. They'll come report into us about the breakthroughs this couple had. And so that is our aim whenever we're supporting a couple, is that they have so little time together, most couples. And so we want their sessions with us to feel like a date night. Maybe they walk in, they're kind of sitting like this and they're kind of annoyed. We want them to walk out holding hands, feeling connected, understanding each other in a whole new way. And so that's like the growing the good and building what's strong. So researcher Dr. John Gottman points to how every relationship sort of has like this love account or this emotional bank account. And we're always either putting in deposits or taking out withdrawals. And if we have a low love account, there's just not resilience. Something that our partner says, a little thing becomes a big thing. We take things personally. We don't give them the benefit of the doubt. Whereas when the love account is full, when our partner's having a hard day, we're like, how can I help you? Is everything okay? We give each other the benefit of the doubt. We naturally have more empathy, so much more resilience, and we stay connected even when times are tough. And so that's why this is so, so important that we're helping them fill up their love account, because then some of the issues just sort of resolve on their own or so much more quickly.
Yeah, that's so right. Yeah. We love it when we always set it as a goal that couples leave the session much more connected than wherever they started. And I can say we've done thousands of sessions, and except for maybe a few very very few that didn't go that way. It's just so beautiful to see that couple kind of walking out like holding hands or smiling at each other when it didn't start that way. That's when we know like we really did some good work.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about the 6 pillars of a thriving relationship. So in our methodology that we developed, we identified these 6 areas that are really critical to creating a thriving relationship. We can have a good relationship when some of these are going well. But if we really want to be kind of tapping into like the full potential of our love, then we need to be hitting, pretty high on all 6 of these pillars. So that first one is personal responsibility. And, we start with that. That's that kind of the first pillar that we mentioned for a reason, because until, we are able to take personal responsibility, then, it's very likely that, we're just going to be stuck in the power struggle. So I have to be willing to kind of look at myself first before I ever look at my beloved. I have to be willing to, kind of identify those things that I need to do better or can do better. So really important.
Yeah. So it's rather than looking at like, you never listened to me, it's getting curious, like, I wonder how I'm communicating in a way that makes it kind of hard to hear me. And a more possibility filled question would be, I wonder how I can communicate in a way that would make it easier to hear me. So that's an important piece of it. And we encourage you as we go through these, just to think about, your romantic relationship or relationship in your own life. Which of these could use a little bit of strengthening? So secure attachment.
So yeah, secure attachment is just so important, because if we're not experience secure attachment in our relationship, then that means we're physiologically being triggered into kind of an anxious response to stressors, or an avoidant response, and that puts us in a repetitive cycle that it's very difficult to get out of, if we get chronically stuck there. So secure attachment, is when we both feel like we intrinsically want the best for each other. We sincerely, are making each other's needs a high priority. That there's a level of safety in like our commitment to each other, and and the ability to emotionally regulate ourselves, right? Where there's just like this really solid safety in the relationship.
Yeah, our brains and our nervous systems are continually scanning for the answers to the questions. We're not even aware of it. Like, am I safe here? Are you emotionally available? Do you respond when I need you? When I cry, do you come? Do you have my back? Am I in this alone, or are you in this with me? So there are all these like fundamental questions that are really, really universal. And just want to assure you that if you're thinking of your own relationship right now, all of these things are something we can create. And this is why we are so passionate about relationships. We did not have these 6 pillars down in our early days. We are not just lucky, like we have very intentionally strengthened and cultivated and did an overhaul in some of these areas in our own relationship. And that's now what we love helping couples. So just looking at that in your own relationship, you aren't securely attached or not, you get to create secure attachment. And then when you're supporting couples, these are great things to look at, like, oh, these 6 areas I can really, if a couple's not doing well, there's usually at least one, sometimes several of these pillars that aren't especially vibrant. So repair, so conflict. Yeah.
We're going to hurt each other at some point in a long-term relationship, right? Like every so often, we're just going to make mistakes that hurt each other. And right, those mistakes can vary wildly, but we're going to hurt each other. And that's okay. I mean, that's just the reality. And when we do, then we want to make sure we do effective repair on that. We want to kind of take personal responsibility. We want to, give effective apologies. We want to really do whatever it takes, right, to make things right when we make those mistakes.
Absolutely. Yeah. There's a whole technique to repair so that we understand why it happened, that there's been empathy and remorse. So yes, so important that we learn and grow from it. And then communication, as we've mentioned, it's not something that people just do naturally, believe it or not. And so again, there's an entire skill set of how we can teach people to listen in a whole new way so people feel deeply heard, and how to communicate our wants, our dreams, our feelings, our needs, our vulnerabilities in a way that sets people up for success to actually hear and understand what we're trying to say.
And a positive love account is another pillar, and that's where we have those effective rituals in our life that are constantly creating positive interactions. So like on a daily, weekly, monthly, annual basis, and we're have a good ratio of positive to negative interactions. There are points at which if we're having too many negative interactions, then we really start creating a negativity bias with each other. And yeah, that's not good. So yeah, there are several kind of best practices, for how to make sure that we're getting that positive love account filled up on a regular basis.
Yeah. And a negativity bias means we're kind of just interpreting everything our partner says in the negative. So perhaps you've been there. It's a common thing for relationships to fall into from time to time. And then touch and sexuality. So in a lot of partnerships, one partner needs emotional connection before they are drawn to be physically close, whereas another person needs physical intimacy before they feel drawn to be emotionally close. Neither is better or worse than the other. It's just really important to know this. And this is an area of relationship that is so important to nurture, and to nurture in a way that feels good and wonderful and healthy, of course, to both partners. So it can be a delicate area and also such an important one. And the number one reason that couples reach out for support around their intimacy is because of desire discrepancy. And what that is when partners have differing desires in sexuality or physical intimacy, and it's starting to come between them, because chances are they're in a bit of a power struggle over it. There's conflict. It's just sort of a tender area, and at least one partner's needs are really unfulfilled, and usually both of them, because if someone feels unfulfilled in their physical intimacy, they're probably not showing up in a way the other partner's longing for emotional intimacy. So again, we love supporting couples around how to get on the same page and understand each other in a whole new way, and develop a kind of intimacy that grows deeper and stronger over time, no matter their current level of desire or interest in it, and in a way that really works for them. So
yeah, touch, sensuality, affection, sexuality, these are so important to our overall health, and to that kind of that secure attachment and deep bond with each other. Yeah, it's just such a big part of the physiological process of health and vitality and connection. Like without the enough touch and sexuality, then we're missing out on oxytocin stimulation, we're missing out on serotonin, on dopamine. Like it's a very important part of pleasure. And yeah, I find that people, when couples get into a place where they stop being affectionate or sexual with each other, that unfortunately happens more than we might guess, then they don't even know kind of how much their health is suffering because of that. And and it's just really feels great when we help them kind of respark that.
absolutely. So those are the 6 pillars of a thriving relationship. Of course, there are layers inside of each one. And we hope that gives you a little overview if you are drawn to work with couples. Again, if you currently are, and you just want to see what are some areas I could support their growth more, and then to really look at your own relationship. And we just invite you to reflect on what pillars that you are inspired to strengthen in your own relationships. And again, I always think it's great news when I find out that maybe something is not optimal. I'm like, oh, great. That means things can be even better. And again, there are skills, there are tools, there is a roadmap. And certainly we would be thrilled and honored to support you in any way. So we want to share a little bit about the Relationship Coach Certification Program for those of you who are interested in learning more. We are so grateful you are here. We hope some of those keys were valuable to you as a coach, that you can begin to reframe couples' challenges and give them hope and inspiration, and normalize conflict and see it as growth wanting to happen, that you begin to, as the coach, wonder and look under at these precious gems wanting to be discovered underneath these otherwise challenging situations, and that you help couples do the same, and that you are not just focusing on what isn't working, trying to fix that. You're also helping them really grow the good and strengthen what's possible for them. And then the 6 pillars, we hope those were helpful as well. So here's a QR code if you are so inspired to scan it and pull up the page at any time. That will give you so many more details than we will go over here, but we wanted to tell you a little bit about it. So yeah, we began this program some years back when we realized that the tools, again, we had over 50 tools that we had developed that we were using again and again and again. And we're like, this is an entire system. Let's just try training a few people. So we just tried training a few people, and they were getting results instantly. They had zero background in coaching or doing any sort of work like this with people. And it was truly one session in after they learned this. They were getting remarkable breakthroughs. Couples were coming back. They were saying Oh, we've heard this countless times from our students. And they're like, oh my gosh, I've been going to counseling, couples counseling for years. And in this one session, we got better results than we've gotten from years elsewhere. And so we're so excited about, and this is, again, there's so many wonderful practitioners doing wonderful work in the world. We just do believe with all our hearts in these techniques. And when it comes to getting people really concrete results, that they're excited to come back because it's like, oh my gosh, that felt so good. I understand things in a whole new way. Let's do more of this.
Yes. Yeah. So if you want to develop a specialty, whether you just want to do coaching like you haven't yet, and you want to kind of put your hat in the ring, or if you have a private practice and you're already kind of providing services for people and you just want to add on kind of relationship coaching, then yeah, this is a natural for you.
Yeah, maybe you are just starting out as a coach and you're kind of intrigued by coaching and helping people improve their lives, and relationships really interest you. And you'd really love to have that as a specialty, which is so wonderful. People are hungry for support around the relationships. Maybe you're already doing some work, or your life is already full with some other things, and you're looking for a side gig and something that inspires you, that lights you up, that fulfills you. That's wonderful. Maybe you just retired, so you're looking for something in this new season of life. So beautiful. Maybe you're just seeking personal transformation. So we've had many people, over the years that have done this because they want a deep dive immersion to improve every relationship in their own life, really for the rest of their lives. And that is our commitment, our deepest wish, is that truly every relationship in your life for the rest of your life is so much better from having gone through this.
Yeah. Or if you just want to serve friends and family members at a higher level and just get these benefits for yourself, then that's perfect. I'm recalling one of our students who in the kind of orientation said that her child was getting married, and so she felt like she had to do this program just to know like how to support her child and this kind of new venture of their life and their new marriage. And so yeah, we hear these kind of stories all the time, and it just touches us deeply.
Yeah, it's really so very beautiful. Yeah, and we've had people from all sorts of backgrounds, certainly therapists, coaches, massage therapists, dental hygienists, nurses, paramedics, people who focused on raising their children. Oh my gosh. Nature school facilitators. Yeah, you name it. Much more diverse than us. Yeah, pastors, ministers, such diversity, which fills our hearts when we look at our students from all over the world and all sorts of different, backgrounds. We call our students Team Love, and they really are kind of wrapping the world in love. So the coaching industry is exploding. It is only growing. And for those of you that feel this call, we just want to share that it's good news, because when people are looking for a coach for their relationships, they want someone who has this as a specialty. There are so many coaches out there. And so when they are wanting support around the most important part of their lives, they want someone that they can really trust. And so we find that typically if someone wants relationship support, they want to go to someone who's a relationship expert. And really from this program, you will be in the tiniest upper percent of how much you know about relationships, compared to other people in the world. Of course, we hope that changes and people know much more about relationships over time. But right now, you will be truly one of the leading relationship experts in the world from taking this program. So if you want to have a coaching practice, relationships are a phenomenal way to really differentiate yourself. And so there aren't a whole lot of relationship coaches. There are so many coaches out there, but not relationship coaches. The need for them is so much greater than the amount of coaches that we have in the world right now.
Yeah, and it's just we're really so happy that the coaching industry is just exploding, and it's only been around for about 25 years probably from its infancy, and now it's a multi-billion dollar industry. So it is just this growing, expanding industry that you can jump into if you want to.
Yeah, and you could see couples in person, and or you could see them virtually. Of course, with the pandemic, it really normalized virtual sessions. So it's so wonderful if you're wanting just to do this from home, stay in your slippers all day, be near your furry friends. And when it comes to relationships, again, we've truly got into this work because we just felt like it was the area where we could make the biggest difference in the world. And because our own relationship transformed, we wanted this for every couple in the world. And we realized it actually is a very practical, effective, successful business to go into, because when people want help, they're more likely to take action. If there's a bit of like desperation, like I'm in pain and I need help now. And when people are feeling disconnected from their partner, when their partner just said that they're considering divorce or a separation, or they just had that argument for the 100th time, or they see it starting to impact the kids, or they just discovered, some sort of betrayal that has occurred. They want help. They need it desperately. They want it right away, and they're willing to invest in it. And, relationship coaching is only a teeny tiny fraction of the expense of divorce. Not that we only support married couples. Of course, we support couples in every stage of the journey. People are really willing to invest in it because it's so important to them. And the investment in the coaching is nowhere near the return that they're going to get is so exponential. The ease, the comfort, the relief, the joy, and then it gets passed on to their children and their children's children if they have children, but it gets passed on and just spills over really to every area of their life.
Yeah, truly. Yeah.
Yeah.
Best investment we can make.
Absolutely. So for many, losing their relationship is the greatest fear of all, and they will do anything to save it. And they need someone they can trust, which could indeed be you. So we're just going to tell you, we'll be here. We're planning on staying at doing a 75 minutes. So probably like 8-ish more minutes together. So again, there is the QR code. Just to give you a little bit about the format of our program, it is 6 months. You don't have to do it in 6 months. We've designed it to be 6 months. But if you are just want to zoom ahead, you certainly could, and you still have access to the live calls for an entire year, so that once you start seeing clients, you can just be coming to the Q&A calls about like, I just saw this couple and this happened. Or if life gets busy and you need more than 6 months, again, we've extended the calls to be an entire year so that you get ongoing support. But it's designed to be 6 months so that you get 6 months of calls while you're going through all the modules. And then you get an additional 6 months of calls while you're actually seeing clients. So you get that ongoing mentorship to set you up for so much success. We just want you to feel held and loved and supported every step of the way.
Yeah. So in that 6 months, there's going to be a module every week, and where you're going to have, a 2-hour training. And then there's going to be homework associated with that. And there's, bibliography you're going to be reading, and you're going to go through, attend our live Q&As and the partner calls, which is where a lot of community is built in the program.
Yeah. So for the training, we'll be teaching, we'll have slides every time for people that want really, really concrete visuals. And then you'll have slides that you can download. And then there's handouts and worksheets every time. And we give our coaches full permission and rights to replicate the handouts. So you can just use them. So the aim is that after 6 months, you can know absolutely nothing about coaching, absolutely nothing about relationships. And after 6 months, you have a ready-made practice ready to go, so that you're ready to be a phenomenal, successful, effective relationship coach that really gets remarkable results. So the trainings are on different themes every single week. The Q&A calls, we are there just to make sure all your questions can get answered. And even if you can't be there live, you can submit questions ahead of time and we make sure we answer them for you. The partner calls, you get to pair up with other students to actually practice, and you get to receive coaching over the 6 months, which is really, really incredible. You're only required to attend 6 of the partner calls, but we have those on a regular basis. People tend to absolutely love those. There's always replays. We scatter the times of calls to make it work for people around the world. You also receive a confidential library of recorded sessions. So it's recorded sessions that Brett and I did with other couples who were so generous to share. We only share it in the program, but we walk you through the tools. You'll see us coach them. And then at the end, we'll share why we use that tool, why we were doing what we were doing. So you can see the tools actually come to life. It's many people's favorite part of the program is like getting to watch those moments, those like intimate, vulnerable moments of breakthroughs. And then you also, again, these 50 plus signature tools that we only share in the program that you have full exclusive rights to use as a certified coach. And so you have everything you need, again, for any situation that would arise with a couple. And then there's business boot camps. So those are 8 sessions that I teach that we go over everything it takes to get your business off the ground running. We do those live. You can always do replays, but we do it live. So we're in the session itself, making the business part easy and fun. So we will set up your online scheduler. We will get your client intake forms going. We will do social media, your logo, website, all those things. We do it together. And it's really, we have the best time doing it together. And
so for those of you who don't currently have a private practice, that business boot camp is just incredibly helpful and valuable.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. And then you're going to get to be featured on the website. So we have a coach directory on the website. And we have tens of thousands of visitors on the website every month. So you'll hear about that when you're in the program, and you get lifetime access. So the Q&A calls you'll have for an entire year with us. And then the partner calls, you'll receive those indefinitely. So maybe it's 2 years from now and you're like, gosh, I have a session coming up. I really want to practice that one tool. You can hop on the partner call that week, practice the tool, and be all ready for your session. Or maybe you're like, I could use some relationship coaching right now. You can hop on a partner call and receive coaching from somebody else. And so that you have indefinite access to. And then you also get lifetime access to all of the videos and trainings and replays and worksheets and everything like that. We really, our aim is always to far exceed anybody's expectations, and for you just to have everything you need. We do this because we believe so deeply in love and truly want people to not have to suffer in their relationships and to experience love and connection, and for that to pass on for many generations.
Yeah, and it's really just such an incredible community to be part of, when you're in the program and beyond. So it's, that is, many people say that that's like one of the most valuable parts of this, is that, kind of they really want to do this work, but they don't want to do it alone. And, being part of this community, which is really just the best people in the world, like the kind of people that are drawn to this program are just like the biggest hearted people out there. And we get to connect with them, and to learn with them. And then, there's like ways to kind of stay connected to people kind of long term, like after you graduate even.
Yes, absolutely. We love team love. So what I think we'll do for some of these we've had students that have said so many beautiful, wonderful things. We're going to show you the investment, and we're going to show you the page just so you kind of know where to go. But if you're wondering if this is sounding intriguing, we kind of compare it to a master's degree, which is going to be at least $40,000 nearly anywhere. And really for you to
probably a lot more.
Probably a lot more, and you will learn so much more through this if you want to support couples. You can exponentially make your investment back, and you can become this confident relationship expert, and then the personal transformation that you receive is truly priceless and lasts forever. And then we have a bonus that we're running right now. We don't know, this is kind of new, and I'm not certain we're going to keep this, but right now, truly, we love that when people come to do this with their partner, because you just get to experience so much personal transformation that spills over to your clients. And so right now your partner gets to join with you for free and be certified right by your side. And it's so heartwarming to have couples in the program. So we also have a satisfaction guarantee. So you can do it for 30 days. If it's not serving you or supporting you, no pressure at all. We deeply want it to serve and support you and to exceed your expectations. So you just reach out to our team and you will get a full refund. And here, again, there's the QR code. We're going to show you the page real quick. But we invite you to, the next step would be to apply. So applying really just takes 10 minutes. After you apply, you'll be invited to hop on a call where you can get all your questions answered. It is like no pressure, like having tea with a friend, so we can learn more about you and make sure that we're a wonderful fit for whatever goals you're seeking. We will absolutely tell you honestly if we feel like we can serve and support you. There's nothing we want more than that. And so here is, again, we're just going to bring up that page for you so you can kind of see what it looks like. Okay, so when you go to that page, just to show you, you can watch a little more of a video. You can enter your information to get the application that'll be sent right over to you. And then you can see lots of things with our beautiful students. So blown away, the sole reason we were able to save our 30-year marriage, As a coach for 12 years now, I've never come across a training this packed with incredible gems and speed of the highest caliber useful information. 10 out of 10 recommend taking this program. Exceeded every expectation on every level. The tools have turned around decades of old patterns. One of the best things I've ever done in my life. Changed my life. Spiritual depth, intelligence, and love. So you'll just see as you scroll down here, you can watch videos and hear from other students. Here's more, everything you need to succeed. This is by far the best program I've ever been a part of to improve my marriage. After intensive research and searching for a relationship coach certification program that would meet all my needs, this one exceeded my needs. This program exceeded, lots of exceeded expectations. I now feel more prepared than I did leaving graduate school. I am shocked, honestly, by what we got for the cost of this program. It could be 5 times what we paid for it. Program has blown my mind. So anyway, this is worth more than a college degree. Accelerated decades of lessons I meant to learn in this lifetime. So you can read from our beautiful, beautiful students, watch videos from them, because we get, that will probably be very helpful for you. So you'll see so much more. You can get the full list of all the modules and themes. You can learn so much more on this page here. We hope that it is comprehensive. As genuinely loving and supportive of instructors as I could ever hope for, nothing short of brilliant. So you'll see lots here and kind of what sets it apart. So we're the only program we know that teaches couples, that is taught by a couple who is thriving, that's been together over 20 years. I'm a coach with a background in somatic coaching and energy healing and overall life coaching and joy coaching. And Brett, as a licensed clinical psychotherapist who has worked in the emergency department in hospitals and clinical settings with addictions. And you really get that combination of therapy and coaching, which is really unique. We really bring in the science, the brain. We have Dr. Jill Bolte-Taylor, who is a Harvard-trained neuroanatomist, for example, as one of our guest speakers. But we also bring in so much heart and so much love throughout the whole program. And then we also include the business element, which a lot of other programs don't. So if you're wanting to create a business, that's really important to us. And then we have this really unique approach that is very, very results oriented. So again, this is where you can get the application. You can also sign up for a call on this page. Lots of FAQs. So again, here you can schedule a call. You can either jump in and just schedule a 20-minute call or go ahead and apply. And we'll get you everything you need. So and lots of info, we realize.
Lots of info. And we would love to have you be part of this. And we, just want to guarantee you that we put all of ourselves into this program. We put our hearts into it, and we want to make sure that, we deliver and that you get everything that you want out of it. So, the people that sign up for this, the students, we call all of us Team Love. And it's good to be part of Team Love. Because this world really needs that, right? No doubt about that. And so if you just, want to be part of a movement, that's kind of creating more love in the world, more connection in the world, more healing in the world, then please consider being part of this.
Yes, absolutely. We would be so honored and thrilled, and that we are here as you go forth and love and support the world. We are here to love and support you, and also do everything we can to set you up for success so that you also get to, make a huge difference and experience this life of abundance and freedom that really lights you up, and have all of the business skills you need to be wildly successful and to really flourish on that level as well. So it is such an honor and a joy to be here with you. Thank you so much for sharing your most precious resource of all, your time. And we are here for you. So you can always reach out to us, to our team. You can send an email to info@centerthrive.com. You can enter your info. You can sign up for a call. Of course, we'll answer all your questions there. Otherwise, info@centerthrive.com, or you can just reply to any of the emails you get from us. If you have a personal question for either of us, we'll make sure that we personally respond. We are totally on your team and truly here for you in every way. So thank you all so much.
Thank you. Thank you. We'd love to be in touch with you. So please, reach out. Blessings on you all.
Yes.
Yeah, so good to connect with you.
Well, thank you all so much. Take wonderful care.
Big hugs. See ya.